look stupid. So hello and welcome back. So what you're seeing right in front of you right now is actually the final product. So today we're gonna add the small windows over here and also the small gaps over here to add a bit of detail. So we'll be making the curves around the edges with the bevel tool within the edit mode, and also just adding the flat windows over here. So this is where we left off last time, and you can see everything is nice and clean. So we want to add the extra bits over here, but first let's have a quick reminder. So let's hold in edit mode. Let's hold in Alt, then left click. If the edge most selected, it will select the edges of the line connecting through it. If you go to face mode and then Alt click, it will go over here. But if you want to have a selection going towards this way, just make sure you select the line that's going the opposite direction. So click this one over here, going across this direction with Alt, and it will have a direct line selection going towards this way. It's weird. But yeah, so that's what you need to know. And to have extra selections, hit Shift and click, and that will add to selection. If you don't want this one again, hit Shift and then click again to deselect that part. If you want to deselect this whole entire part, just hit Alt and then Shift, and let's hit this one again and deselect it. So that's how you do basic selections in edit mode, and make sure you can select which part of the mesh that you want to do it. So which kind of things you want to select. So it can be edges or it can be faces. Alt R. Make sure to have this outline over here, and then use the scroll wheel to scroll upwards to increase the amount of cuts. So two should do. Let's hit left click once to confirm the face, and the second one to confirm the location. So now let's turn all these into bevels. So let's hit Alt and then Shift. I want to select this line as well. So there we go. Now we have three of them selected. Let's hit Alt B for beveling, and that will just extend your cut to the side. So this allows us to have, let's select the faces. Faces going around the side, which we can drag inwards. So let's hit S right now, and you will see right now what happening is it dragging the mesh alongside of it. We don't want that, and we just want a single crest going downwards. Let's hit E, and what E does, hit E then enter. So what E does is it makes an additional copy of it, additional lines. So there's like two overlapping lines right here, which you can manipulate. So now if you hit S again and scale it inwards, and there we go. You notice it didn't taper. So basically, E is just extruding it on the spot. So E and don't move your mouse, and that's basically extruding on the spot and it's creating an extra line. So now you still have the inward selections. If you hit G, then Y, you can do some slopes with this. So this looks pretty nice. So you can add a bit of detail in here. You can scale it inside the faces against the Z, and you can just increase or decrease amount of area inside of it, and that's pretty damn cool. So now let's work on the front windows. So this part was created using the extrusion tool, the loop cuts, and also scale. So let's create the windows. So let's put out the original photo, the original renders over here. Here's the original project and the windows. And this is what the windows look like. The front bit of it, the front part of it anyways. So let's hop back to out here, and we don't want the two lines, the two edges going across the front. So let's go to edge selection mode, hit this one with left click and hit Shift again, and let's hit Shift left click here to do select del and then dissolve edges, and that should give you a blank slate. Hit a face selection tool, and there we go, a full nice selection. So now let's create the cuts within the windows. So select with this face selected, let's just hit I to extrude it inwards, and this will give us some extra geometry that we can work with. So if you want to, you can hit E again and add some extra details over here, but yeah, we can do that later. So let's just use the knife tool. We can use something called the knife tool. Hit K, and that's the knife tool and cutting up your faces. So let's use put it in the middle around here, left click, and let's hit C to confine that to an angle. Let's drag it down here to this point, and they will clip to the edges. Left click to confirm, enter to confirm the cut. Hit K again, and we want to make another line going across here. So let's left click over here and then drag over here, hit C, and then left click again, enter to confirm. So when you hit K, if you look at the bottom right here, you can see all the shortcuts, all the function keyboard cuts you can use in this tool. So that's pretty useful. So let's use our face selection tool, face select, and we can see all these are now separated into their own faces. Let's hit I on each of these faces to make the areas that we want to shrink inwards. So, and then we have a nice bridge over here. Let's select these faces again, shift left click, and then let's just hit E and extrude them inwards. And you can see the mirrored object over on the side is following everything that we're doing. So right now let's add some bit more detail. Let's select those two faces and let's hit E to extrude this outwards, and this adds a bit more detail. You can hit this face a bit and hit this inwards. As you know, let's hit G and then just move this bit along the y-axis, and that looks, yeah, that looks a bit nicer. Let's hit the edge selection mode and just select this edge, G, and then move along the y-axis. So yeah, so that is a good way to add more detail. As you know, I'm going to add more detail here. Select this face, hit I, extrude it in, and just add a bit more detail over here, and that's pretty cool. So to add a bit more detail, I just want to select these faces over here, and then just G and just drag it in a bit, and I just want to lift these edges over here. So let's select these edges over here, shift left click, and then let's just G and then grab against the y-axis and out a bit, and that's adding a bit more detail. So if go to object mode with hitting tab. So now let's add in some sweet curves with the bevel modifier. I'm gonna go back to original model right here, hit tab to enter edit mode, hit A to select all of it. A is full selection. Make sure you have the edge mode selected, and let's hit Control B. Drag your middle mouse to say the amount of bevel that you want, and use this middle mouse scroll wheel to increase the amount of cuts that you want. In my case, I wanted about this much, and let's increase the amount of it, and then left click to confirm, tab to enter edit mode, and now you look at it, it has a nice curves to it. So that's just add a bit more detail, add a bit more fluctuation to it, and just everything looks generally a lot better. Of course, if you don't want the entire thing to be beveled, Control B equals Control beveled. Of course, you can just go to edit mode and just select only the vertices that you want. A quick tip to help with that, you can use the B tool over here. If you hit B, you can drag a selection of the things that you want, or just click outside the mesh and you just deselect everything. Or you can hit C and then drag across everything to select what you want, and use the with the left click and drag to select things, and use the middle mouse button, hold down the middle mouse button to deselect within the key function, hit escape, and that's what you have what you want. So if you see some part like this, sometimes some people don't want this part. I don't really mind, it looks okay. And but sometimes you don't want the front bit, the sharp bit over here, to be beveled. So sometimes you can just hit A, use C, and then just hold down your middle mouse button, your middle mouse wheel, and then just drag across here, and then that should work fine. Rotate a bit, hit C again to deselect these parts, and then you can bevel. So yeah, if you don't want to bevel the entire thing, that's just a nice methodology to use. So that's nice. So I'm gonna leave it right here for this second part tutorial, and the third part we're gonna be adding textures, the cardboard texture into this thing. So if you want to add some more details, you can do so whatever you want to. In edit mode, you can basically do anything. Next part, adding details, because texturing is, we're gonna be using the node editor and things gonna get slightly more complicated. Yeah, I just want to do a well-made thing, and I don't want to squash the texturing into this one episode. So have a good day, buddy, and good night.